So, hello, we are here today to present our startup, the KTA, and we'll be going through phases 1 to 5 using the value creation wheel. So just a small presentation about our team. We have Mariana as a consultant, Olivia in the strategy part, me, Romeo, in the technological area, and then Nihar in the analytical area. 1998 until 2017, 2 billion people have already been affected by floods, and from 1998 until 2014, only in the US, already 48.6 billion have been spent to repair and replace flood damage. This is a problem because the number of floods is expected to rise due to urbanization, deforestation, and climate change. The way we are solving this is by utilizing Earth observation services to develop detailed reports and identify areas that are most likely to be affected by floods. The AWARE software will be used to connect business, volunteers, and data all through our app and website. And for this, we are looking for a $150,000 investment in return of 10% stake in our company.
So the technology that we are going to use for our startup is Aware technology, which is basically a software that gives end-to-end solutions for asset management. It also provides high precision and accurate positioning analysis, and on top of that, it gives continuous monitoring of the deformation of land. So in our case, it will provide us the areas that need the most assistance in terms of flood management. And at the end, it also provides actionable reports that can be used for future forecasting. So we think these are the two technologies that can complement Aware technology in the future. First one is flood networks, which are highly sensitive sensors that can detect the water levels, and we think we can use this technology to send alerts to subscribe groups or members through SMS or emails. The second one is hydraulic calculation software, which provides fast computations to ensure pressure flow and volume for water, and also provides visual data representation that we think we can use for fast decision making in terms of flood calamities. So as you already know that our startup is not related to only providing data for flood management, but we are also going to have a volunteer base, and we're not going to have our own personal volunteers or train them ourselves, but we're going to have alliances with agencies that already have a volunteer base, and in return we can give them the data that they require. And for example, you can see that State Emergency Services Agency, they already have 9,000 volunteers. So this is our idea that we will also use those volunteers, and this will lead us to provide not only the data, but also the volunteer bases to the flood affected areas.
KTA will help tackle a land management problem whilst equally aligning with the Universal Sustainable Development Goals in order to support communities, work towards citizens' health, and build sustainable cities. As you can see on the slide, KTA will focus on 5 SDG goals: good health and well-being, sustainable cities and communities, climate action, life on land, and the partnerships for the goals. Under each of the SDGs, you can see the relative target that KTA will be working towards. Equally, KTA aligns with the Paris Agreement. The practical and action-oriented implementation of AWARE technologies can serve as an aid mechanism that impact the development of cities after a flood. Here you can see that the KTA aligns with coordination, alignment, harmonization, managing for results, and mutual accountability that was undertaken within the Paris Agreement. Finally, KTA also aligns with the European Green Deal as it assists with boosting global climate action as well as protecting the planet and health, as you can see on the slide.
Our challenge is to find the best geographical market to expand KTA's land management flooding project. So the technology and startup align with the 5 supporting pillars for a better world, which support the World Development Vision. The first pillar, the sustainability, has a clear balance, wanting to establish the business in the most relevant country while aligning with the SDG goals and also the Paris Agenda. The second, which is the common good, and here we want to consider both internal and external stakeholders. For collaboration, the engagement of different stakeholders who are open to collaborate and co-create. The fourth pillar and the wisdom one. So we are students with international background as well as with high academic degree, and we want to ensure proper analysis and judgment of the problem. And for last, we have the transparency, where all the phases of the VCW will be explained and the decisions made for each step will be elaborated.
Now we will start with phase 1 of VCW framework. So to do our market analysis in phase 1, we started off with Porter's 5 forces in order to see the competition level in the industry that we are going to start our business in. And we see that the overall competition rivalry is quite low for us, since there is a large upfront investment cost involved in this technology and research and development. But we see that the supplier's bargaining power is medium, because there might be some companies or customers that do not actually utilize Earth observation tools for flood management, and also the customer's bargaining power is medium, because there might be some customers that prefer free services rather than paying for initial trial versions. But the plus point for us here is that we have high switching costs and inability to change suppliers with the same amount of data. And we have also very low threat of substitutes, because the main substitute that we have is drones, and they don't provide as high properties as Earth observation services. So we also did a competitor overview with respect to their technologies that they are using. And we see that our technology Aware can stand out in the market since it contains many important features for flood management. So under the solutions, you can see here the technologies that our major competitors are using, and it's like a more in-depth detail written here. And on the other hand, you see that we have chosen Planet as our potential partner because they have already worked a lot on flood prevention with Earth observatory services. And we think if we partner with them, it will help us to survive in this industry in the beginning and grow in the later times.
When it comes to the pestle analysis, we have a few factors that we should have in consideration. For example, in terms of political, we should have like the government policy, tax policies, fiscal policy. On the economic part, we should care about the economic growth, exchange rates, and inflation. Also, the minimum versus average wage. In the social, the percentage of education in the country, the population growth, the age distribution, the willingness to help is really important for us and for what we want to do. Also, in terms of technology, the level of digitalization is also really important because we want as many technological people as possible. In terms of environment, this one is really important, the frequency of floods, the climate change affecting frequency and intensity of floods, and also environmental legislation such as Paris Agreement or the SDGs. And in legal terms, the data protection and legislation as the GDPR, the competition legislations as the European antitrust policy, and the current and future legislations, for example.
To analyze the internal environment of KTA, a TOES analysis was conducted to create strategic strategies to overcome the limitations and threats of the businesses. Given the analysis, as you can see on the slide, the weaknesses of high capital costs are an opportunity to fend off competitors and obtain funding from our target institutions, particularly from governments. Moreover, the limited knowledge of Earth observation services and technologies can be used as a strategy by the key decision makers to prove that KTA is the most apt business to offer detailed flood management reports. In this way, it can be seen as the industry leader amongst those who do not yet know about the benefits of Earth observation services. After analyzing the internal and external environment of KTA, we identified the main stakeholder groups to undertake in this project, namely the governments, community, flood cleaning services, shareholders, regulatory enterprises, and employees. As you can see on the diagram, we also identified why they would be interested in KTA's project, as well as how to maximize their value creation. For example, when you look at the governments, you can see that they would be interested in partnering with KTA because we would be able to aid citizens affected by floods, thus creating societal value and creating employment opportunities for individuals who have strong data analytics skills. After analyzing the stakeholders and their needs, we created a stakeholder implementation plan where we can see at which point all the different stakeholders are included in the value creation wheel. As seen on the diagram, the student consultants, the value creation wheel professors, the managers, and the flood service competitors are included in all 5 phases to demonstrate their importance in the KTA project. KTA's mission is to use the AWARE technology to identify areas affected by floods around the world. Its vision is to expand the use of AWARE's Earth observation technology to different geographical markets affected by floods in order to enhance communities and make awareness of natural disasters. To achieve these, the mission and vision, business level and department level objectives were set for the short term, medium term, and long terms as seen on the slide.
So we have some KPIs here, and they are divided in 6 parts, such as teamwork, project-related, sustainable business-related, short-term, mid-term, and long-term. And as you can see in teamwork, it's mostly related to understanding the VCW meta framework. In project-related, it's more towards the team fulfillment with the final problem solution matching. And in sustainability, we have divided it further in people, planet, and profit. And in short term, we have more achievable KPIs in the beginning, such as having the understanding of all the phases. And in midterm, we want to choose our geographical market and then start our business there. And in the long term, we want to look into the SDGs, that they are being fully achieved, and expand to other markets.
The second phase of the value creation wheel focuses on collecting as many ideas and filters as possible from the various stakeholders. Phase 2A is the idea streaming regarding the geographical market, for which brainstorming and brainwriting was utilized. Phase 2B is the acceptance and rejection of the criteria, utilizing different filters within the value creation wheel.
Next is phase 2A, which is about creating value and streaming ideas. In phase 2A, we will stream ideas about where to enter, as our startup needs to find the best geographical market. We have chosen to focus on all 193 countries of the UN. How we will gather information will be through emails to potential stakeholders and follow-up interviews as our primary research. And then we will retain data from WHO and MDAT, which will be our secondary research. MDAT is a database which collects data about floods in the past. In phase 2B, we will generate criteria and filters. We use the brainwriting method 635, which is chosen because it allows us to generate some high quality ideas in a very short amount of time, where we will use a simple and structured approach. When we completed the brainstorming method, we came up with 48 ideas. Some of them were duplicated and similar, why we have grouped them. And finally, we came up with 43 different filters, which you can see here. They are divided into 7 different categories, which is geographical, technological, environmental, political, economical, societal, and competition.
The third phase of the value creation wheel is focused on assessing and analyzing the potential of each solution and filter. The poker method was utilized to inform, validate, refine, multiply, and eliminate the filters generated. After categorizing the filters in phase 3A, they were ranked in phase 3B.
In this phase, we will do the filter selection and do the ranking of them. In order to do our filter selection, we use the poker method, and these are the 4 categories that we divided them under. And the first one is skill, which means when the filter is not good enough, we put them under this category. The second one is review, which we think if a filter needs to be more researched on, then we put it under this category. And these are the filters under multiply, which we think are being replicated in some way with other filters. And lastly, we have the keep ones that we think are the most relevant ones, and we use them for our further steps. So our reasoning behind selecting filters was that we wanted to choose at least one filter from each category, and also we kept in the mind the factors which might be important for us to better know of our market and other business operations, and also the external factors such as legislation. But of course, there were some limitations for selection as well, such as difficulty in finding data for certain filters, and some filters were too similar to the filters that were already being selected. And lastly, we wanted to focus on the countries that have been already facing flood management problems, so this way it ignores the possibility of other potential areas that can be at high risk in the near future.
In terms of the ranking of the filters we chose, it came down to this. So in the first place, we have the total affected from natural disasters, and this filter is important to know because we want to know how many people got affected per country, so we know where we would have a bigger impact. The second ranking is total damages from natural disasters. So the bigger the damage, the more impact we can have with our service. In the third place, we have the stability of the government, because we consider this our third, since the government is a big part of our project, and we need to be sure that we'll be able to work with a stabilized government. In fourth place, we have the disaster risk reduction progress, and this filter allows us to see what countries are improving in terms of disaster risks. In number 5, the percentage of individuals with access to internet. This is also very important since it shows us how many individuals have access to the internet, something that allows them to easily have access to any disaster news quickly and to our possible startup. In number 6, we have displaced persons associated with disasters, and this filter tells us how many people need new homes after disasters, so we can take that need in consideration. In 7th place, we have risk and magnitude of floods, and the dimension of the flood is also something to take in consideration, since the bigger the disasters are, the bigger the amount of people that will need help, and the bigger the amount of money that will be also needed. In number 8, we have the GDP per capita. So the higher the GDP per capita, the bigger the loss and the better the infrastructure. And in the last place of the rankings, number 9, we have the unemployment rate. And this is an indicator that shows us unemployment rate per country that can be crucial, taking into considerations for our possible solution.
The fourth phase is about capturing value and narrowing the countries using the value creation funnel to arrive at our final geographical market. The value creation funnel allows us to automatically identify the solutions with the highest potential.
Next is phase 4A, which is the value creation funnel. Here you see our Excel sheet, which is consisting of the MCDA and the VCF solutions. As you can see in the top of the sheet, the chosen geographical market for KTA is Australia. is Australia fulfills all our criteria, which I will go through now. First, we have the filter of more than 40,000 people affected by natural disasters in the years 2015 to 2021. After applying this filter, we have 111 countries left. The next one is that more than $50,000 should be spent on natural disasters in the same amount of years. After applying this filter, we have 68 countries left. The next filter is a score of at least 6 in stability of government, which is a scale of 8. Now we have 25 countries left. Next is that at least 50% of the population should have access to the internet. This rules out 3 countries, such that we have 22 countries left. Next is that at least a score of 3 in disaster risk reduction on a scale of 5. This rules out 2 countries. At least 8,000 displaced persons associated with disasters leaves us with 14 countries. And at least 3% of population should live in areas which have high risk of floods. That gives us 7 countries left. And the second last is that more than $5,000 in GDP per capita. That gives us 6 countries left. And the last one is the unemployment rate, which should be higher than 6.5%, which leaves us with 1 country, that is Australia. If we look further into Australia as a geographical market for KTA, we see here that 97,762 people were affected by natural disasters from 2015 and onwards. 89% of individuals have access to the internet, and 4.5% live in an area with high risk of floods. More than $18 million were spent on natural disasters, and the stability of the government is very high with 8 out of 10. Also, the country has already developed in their risk reduction and has a 4 out of 5 in disaster risk reduction progress. 51,000 people were displaced due to disasters, and the country has a high GDP per capita with more than $50,000. Lastly, the unemployment rate is 6.6%, which makes Australia a good market for our startup. To be more specific, we want to focus on a certain local market in Australia, as it is a very big country. Here we see a map which shows the hour of rainfalls, and it becomes very clear to us that our local focus will be the East Coast, and the specific region is New South Wales. This is due to that the East Coast presents highest rainfall activity in Australia throughout the whole year, and 18,000 people were evacuated from severe floods in March 2021.
We also found some other similar businesses that are already present in the area, such as Australian government. They do the regular forecasting and they utilize the EU services to do that. Secondly, we have Geoscience Australia, and they are already partnering with a EU-based company who is our major competitor as well, and they provide them rapid access to satellite imagery, which leads to high and quick decisions by Australian-based emergency managers for flood prevention. And lastly, we have CSIRO, which is Australian National Science Agency, and they provide consulting and strategic advice based on EO technology.
Following our research, the STP process was undertaken to classify the specific segmentation, targeting, and positioning for KTA. Segmentation included dividing the market into distinct groups of customers. KTA identified government services, private companies, and emergency service associations located on the New South Wales as the potential users of the service. This is the geographic segmentation. In terms of demographic segmentation, KTA wishes to focus on businesses and government entities with a reasonable financial base that have been in business for over 5 years. Finally, in terms of behavioral segmentation, KTA wishes to target companies and government organizations that are actively involved in flood prevention and/or flood management projects.
So for our targeting, we looked into several different markets and we wanted to start our business in a niche market. And we scrutinized both private and public sectors to see where we can find a niche. In this slide, you can see a more focused or precise targeting. And these are our three main customers that we want to target. First one is government agencies. These two are the main companies that we want to have our B2G alliances with. We want to provide the data and the reports, and in return, we will be giving them the volunteers and also like having the volunteer base of them that they already have. And secondly, we are going to have a B2B alliance with the data providers. We will provide them the data that they need to provide to the other companies that they work with. Lastly, we have the insurance providers. We would give them the accurate and precise data that they can use to draw out the insurance policies for their customers.
So coming down to the 7Ps, to the marketing mix, in the product part, we have our target clients and business subscribers to access our unique EO technology with the help of the Aware software. So KTAs ensure the data is stored properly and easy accessible, and depending on the subscription plan, KTA will provide relevant maps, reports, and forecasts for specific areas with a mobile app or the desktop or website. In the place to be easily accessible by the Australian market, KTA will set up operations in Sydney, which is conveniently located on the East Coast, the part we are focusing on. To ensure this ensures easier business operations as significant time differences are avoided. Moreover, immersing ourselves in the local culture, understanding firsthand the issues will enable the creation of more tailored services. Regarding the price, we offer 3 annual plans for which psychological pricing is introduced. We hope that a large majority of our clients will settle for the standard plan. So we have the basic subscription with the monthly reports and 2 users and 2 free locations to use. The standard plan with weekly reports on the app and website access, 10 users per subscription plan, and 5 locations available. And for less, we have the premium subscription with daily reports, 15 users allowed, and 10 locations available. We can also say that we'll also have a price for every new location they need and for every new user they want to add. So that will also be available to the subscription plans. Then in the promotion, we'll have directly contact desired target clients, so insurance providers and government organizations. We'll have free trials. The contacted companies will receive a demo of our services for 2 weeks. Then we'll have social media marketing and sales promotion. We'll be attending flood planning conferences, for example, the 2022 Floodplain Management Australia, to raise awareness about our product and find new partners or target clients. Then when it comes to people, so we are highly motivated and intellectual VCW team. We're specialized in sales, marketing, digital services, and finance. We train to deliver superior value and service whilst aligning the business with the KPIs. We also embrace feedback culture to continuously improve our product and service. Regarding our process, as a hybrid organization, KTA simultaneously focus on business and sustainability KPIs Each client will receive a training session to familiarize itself with the services and uses of the program. We'll have 24/7 support available and optimization of processes offered through involvement of all the stakeholders. And now to finish and with the physical environment, we have comprehensive information obtained from the detailed maps, reports, and forecasts provided on a monthly basis. The information will be provided through our digitalized services, so mobile app and desktop website, given the subscription plan of the client. And to end, we have the personalized notifications that will be created for each client.
Our pricing model is a subscription model with 3 different packages: the basic, the standard, and the premium. We use psychological pricing to get most of the customers to choose the standard package. We have made the price difference between the standard and the basic package very small, but with a lot of additional features in the standard package. Furthermore, we profit from companies needing to buy additional users and pay for more additional locations. What distinguishes the 3 packages is the frequency of the reports and how high the resolution of the live data is. Furthermore, there's also more flexibility in the premium package, which could be a help to some customers. It's also only possible to download data in the premium package. Similar for the 3 packages is that the companies have a 2-week free trial where they can test our product, and that they will have a 24-hour support in the app and the web page.
Based on the STP process, the following positioning statement was created. For all insurance providers, government agencies, and volunteering groups that seek to mitigate the negative effects of floods in Australia, KTA provides a software-based platform that accurately predicts and indicates areas likely to be affected by flooding, using its Earth observation service and data. As a hybrid organization that focuses on attaining the triple bottom line, KTA offers the most comprehensive, reliable, and personalized change detection and cartography reports that are intuitive, easy to use, continuously updated, and allow organizations to take preventative measures on upcoming floods. Rough prototypes of the website and app interface were created as seen on the slide. These were used to demonstrate the feasibility and ease of the services offered by KTA. With Aware's technologically advanced 3D models and area color coding, clients can visually monitor their desired areas of interest and receive personalized alerts in terms of any changes that happen over time. A risk meter is also provided to demonstrate how at risk a certain area is for an upcoming flood. Moreover, detailed monthly reports with historical data will be made available on the interfaces. For premium clients, raw data may be downloaded for their own personal analysis, such as for research purposes.
This is our blue ocean strategy. We will, as a company, offer unique EO service at affordable prices for data that is regularly updated. We will let the government organizations that we work with train the volunteers in case of floods, and we will have small advertisement costs or almost none, as the awareness is built on direct sales and networking made in conferences. We will only have one office location in Sydney for some workers, as the rest of the work can be done remotely. How we will increase buyer value is by undertaking a concentration strategy for careful analysis of each specific segment of the target clients. We will personalize and make precise reports based on what the client needs and wants. Furthermore, we will incorporate other members of the society, for example, flood volunteers, to assist in the community, which will create value for the society as a whole. Lastly, we have the mobile app that provides latest updates on land changes, which contributes to immediate action in case of floods.
The fifth and final phase of the value creation wheel focuses on how the startup can act and operate its business. A roadmap was created of how to implement the business going forward, given the 3 M's: money, minute, and manpower. The 3 M's were compared between the project launch, the red line, and the project after 5 years of operation, the blue line. As seen on the slide, there is an inverted correlation between the 2 times being evaluated. When the startup is being launched, much of the team is assembled, yet specialists are required for certain aspects. In terms of minutes, all the key decision makers have lots of time available as their primary goal is to launch the project. In terms of money, only 25% of total investments have been acquired, thus the team will turn to funds and accelerator programs for financing. After the 5 years, manpower is expected to be at its highest capacity. Money is placed highly as the break-even and payback period would have been achieved by that time. However, minute is ranked low as the employees would be extremely busy with satisfying clients' reporting needs. Nevertheless, around the 5-year mark of the business will focus on reallocating its time to navigating new markets in which the value creation wheel process would be utilized again. The Nova SPE students will become the executives of KTA, in which they take on management roles in data, marketing, sales, finance, and technology. Given that KTA is highly data-driven, 2 positions were created to cater to the company's success factors. Olivia and Nihar were promoted to these positions as they have previous internship experiences with data management and have upskilled themselves in the field of Python and R. However, once the startup obtains sufficient profit, KTA will hire a technical data team to manage the increasing data requests from clients. Alongside the main team, KTA will also set aside investments to hire a website and app developer, a lawyer to assist with business setup in Australia, and environmental reporting experts that assist with the creation of integrated reporting.
So when it comes to the money breakdown, our biggest cost throughout the project period will be the salaries, rent, equipment, and marketing. So the app and website development, the maintenance will also be our biggest cost, but will only be in the first operating year. So during the first years, 51% of the total cost will be allocated to salaries, 27% to app and website development and maintenance, 17% to marketing, 4% to rent and equipment needed, and the final 1% for the business setup cost. We also expect to have our break-even point in the 3rd year and our payback period within the 5th year.
For KTA to start its activities, the team has identified a total of $200,000 of investment required. $50,000 will be created through own financing with the 3 F's, family, friends, and fools. $500,000 will be funded through accelerator programs, especially through the Blue Chili, Murudi, and Cicada innovations located in Sydney, and $100,000 will be funded through government funds and grants.
Here is our plan for launching our business, also the 3rd of the 3 M's minute. The plan consists of 2 phases. We have the business planning phase and the business implementation phase. The business planning phase takes place in the first year, which is 2022, and consists of 3 sub-phases. Phase 1 is focus of engagement with stakeholders and conducting market research, creating the STP process, and aligning the business plan. In phase 2, the second sub-phase, we will obtain funding. Here we have the first milestone to be reached, which is to obtain $150,000 in funding. In this phase, we will also develop the app and the web page and have multiple test runs with focus groups. The third sub-phase is to apply the feedback that we obtain from the focus groups, launch the projects, and begin with marketing initiatives. In the second year, in 2023, the business will be implemented. Here we also have 3 sub-phases. The first one, we will find clients through dedicated marketing and sales plans, which is developed by the Chief Marketing Officer. Here is the second of our 3 milestones, which is to acquire 3 bigger clients. We will also attend environmental conferences to find target clients and create awareness of our project. In the second phase, it's a test and learn phase where we will run the business and see how everything works out. Then in the third phase, we will review our year performance and adjust for the second year of operation. Here's the third milestone, which is to release an integrated report and make an annual report, which should be ready to send to stakeholders.
Based on the business decisions and information taken until this point, we have created a business model canvas for KTA.
As you saw in phase 1, we had some KPIs. Now in phase 5, we are going to do the evaluation of those KPIs. Here is a key chart that you can see. That means, like, for example, if a KPI has 3 green stars, it has been highly achieved. And on the other hand, if it has 1 rating and have 3 red stars, it means it has not been achieved at all. And for instance, a KPI that has a rating of 3, it has been achieved, but some part is unrealistic or unpredictable at this point. So here you can see that we have 3 main KPIs in this slide. The teamwork related KPIs and project related KPIs we think have been totally achieved, whereas we see that the KPIs related to sustainability are not completely achieved, because we think the KPIs related to planet and profit are going to be achieved in the long run, so they are not achievable at this point. So here you can also see that we also have short-term KPIs, mid-term KPIs, and long-term KPIs. We think we have been able to achieve short-term KPIs and some of the mid-term KPIs, but we are still focusing on some of the other KPIs in the mid-term, such as launching the product and also finding the investors for the project. Lastly, we see in the long term that we would like to expand to new markets and achieve the SDG goals as we really want. So our next steps include, firstly, product development and its testing and getting the feedback from several experts in order to make the product more user-friendly. Then secondly, finding the investors who are willing to fund the remaining of the project. Thirdly, we would finally launch the business and begin the commercialization process by promoting the product in the market. And lastly, in the future, we would like to expand to other geographical markets.